مساء الخير واهلا بيكم في ذا لاونج. كل اتنين بيرتبطوا ببعض بزيجة مقدسة. اول حاجة بيتمنوا يكون عندهم طفل، ولما ربنا بيستجيب لطلبتهم وبيديهم الطفل ده عطية، بيديهم معاه الطفل وبيديهم معاه وزنة، بيديهم أمانة، بيديهم كمان مسؤولية. ولما بيبتدوا رحلة تربية الطفل ده، في منهم اللي بيربي ولاده بنفس الطريقة اللي هو اتربى فيها، وفي أب وأم تانيين قبل ما بيربوا ولادهم بيصلوا، بيتعلموا، بيفتشوا الكتب علشان يلاقوا فيها حياة ونجاح وخلاص نفوس ولادهم. لو انتوا عايزين تعرفوا أسرار التربية الناجحة، تابعونا النهاردة وشاركونا في حلقتنا النهاردة، شاركونا بأفكاركم، شاركونا كمان بأسئلتكم من خلال سلايدو. بنستقبل كل الأسئلة اللي هتبعتوها، وبيسعدنا جدا يكون معانا ضيوف فعلا هم دول اللي هيجاوبوا على كل الأسئلة اللي انتوا عايزينها، وهيوصلوكوا ويحطوكوا على أول الطريق، وهيعرفوكوا فعلا أسرار التربية الناجحة. أهلا بيكم، واسمحوا لنا نرحب برضو بضيوفنا النهاردة. أبونا مايكل فانوس، أهلا بيك أبونا ديفيد شهادة، how are you؟ أهلا بيك. وأميرة جبرانيوس، teacher, English teacher و servant of St. Mark's Church as well. أهلا بيك يا أميرة. الحقيقة يعني كلنا آباء، في مننا اللي بينجح في تربيته لولاده، وفي مننا اللي بيأثر أحيانا، وفي مننا فعلا اللي محتاج يتعلم. يعني محتاجين نعرف ونتعلم ونسأل ونعرف إزاي نقدر نربي ولادنا صح. أبونا، في البداية أنا عشان أربي ولادي أكون مسؤول عنهم، لازم أكون مسؤول من كل حاجة، مسؤول روحيا، مسؤول عنهم اجتماعيا، مسؤول إن أنا أربيهم كويس، أعلمهم كويس، يعيشوا حياة كويسة. دي كل أهداف كل أب وأم. لكن لو حبيت أبتدي الأول هتكلم مع قدسك عن علاقتهم بربنا. يمكن دي اللي بدأت بيه، علاقة ولادنا بربنا، يعني دي أهم حاجة في تربية ولادنا. هبتدي مع قدسك الأول. إن في ناس كتيرة قوي بتعتقد أحيانا إن تربية الولاد دي مسؤولية الكنيسة، مسؤولية خادم مدارس الأحد. خادم مدارس الأحد لازم يسأل على الولاد كل يوم، ودي مسؤوليته، وأنا بعمل دوري، كل دوري اللي أنا أودي الولاد يوم الحد الكنيسة، هو ده دوري اللي المفروض أعمله، ومواظبين على كده، بس مش شايف إن في دور تاني ممكن أعمله. يا ترى ده صح ولا غلط، ونعمل إيه؟
أول حاجة لازم نتكلم عن المبادئ عشان نعرف إزاي نكمل في الموضوع ده. لازم نعرف أول حاجة إن إحنا العيلة عبارة عن مصنع، البرودكشن بتاعته، المنتوج بتاع المصنع ده يكون أولاد قديسين، وبالتالي العيلة كلها تبقى قديسين. دي أول حاجة. تاني حاجة لازم نعرف إن إحنا الولاد بتوعنا دول مش ملكنا، دول ملك ربنا. يعني أكتر مثل موجود إبراهيم أبو الآباء، لما ربنا طلب منه إسحاق ما كانش عنده مانع إنه يديله إسحاق، رغم إنه هو ابنه الوحيد اللي بيحبه، ومع ذلك قال إيه؟ ربنا عايزه، هو بتاع ربنا، أديهوله. He does not belong to me, he belongs to God. فدي الحاجات المهمة اللي نبدأ بيها. وبعدين عشان نبدأ بالحاجات دي، إيه اللي نعمله؟ في كده اقتراح بسيط قوي ممكن الواحد يستخدمه، إن إحنا نقضي، يعني to be practical situation، نقضي حوالي ربع ساعة أو 20 minutes. بتكلم على الأهالي طبعا دلوقتي، وأي حاجة بقولها بتبقى تحت الأمبريلا بتاعة الصلاة. يعني أي حاجة هقولها دلوقتي أو أي حاجة هنقولها دي تحت الأمبريلا بتاعة الصلاة. فمثلا الأم أو الأب كل يوم بعد الظهر، حاجة براكتيكال يعني، ممكن يقعدوا لوحدهم في اللاونج بتاعهم أو في المكان اللي عايشين فيه، ليفينج روم، ويقعدوا يقولوا لأولادهم أنا دلوقتي عايز أخد الربع ساعة أو الثلث ساعة دي مع ربنا، أنتوا اعملوا زي ما أنتوا عايزين تعملوا بس من غير دوشة. فيبتدي الأب أو الأم يقعدوا يمسكوا الإنجيل بتاعهم، وطبعا أقترح إن هم قبل ما يبتدوا في الإنجيل يبتدوا يقولوا حاجة ترتيلة بيحبوها تفصلهم عن العالم شوية، أو ترنيمة أو مزمور أو صلاة معينة تكون مثلا في الإنجيل وهم حافظينها وبتخليهم يتفصلوا عن العالم، يبتدوا إيه يقعدوا مع ربنا في الإنجيل. طبعا في الأول هتلاقي الأولاد مام داد ويقعدوا يلفوا حواليهم، بس بعد شوية الأولاد هيتعودوا إن هم في وقت معين هيسكتوا لمدة ربع ساعة أو 20 minutes. دي الأب والأم دول دي وقتي مع ربنا، مالكوش دعوة بيا، مش عايز أسمع صوتكم، أنا عايز أقعد مع ربنا. فالولاد بعد شوية هيحبوا ربنا عن طريق إن هم شايفين أبوهم وأمهم بيحبوا ربنا وعايزين يقعدوا معاه. وصدقوني كتير قوي من الأولاد هيجوا يقعدوا جنبكم ويقولوا إيه إحنا عايزين نعمل زيكم. ولو ما عملوش كده لما يكبروا هيفتكروا، لما يخلفوا هيفتكروا الحاجات دي وهيعملوها. دي حاجة طبيعية خالص. دايما الإنسان بيعلم ولاده. فمن ضمن الحاجات المهمة إن إحنا إيه نبقى إيه قدوة حسنة لأولادنا، نبقى إحنا نفسنا مسيحيين عشان هم يبقوا مسيحيين، نتعامل معهم كمسيحيين عشان هم يبقوا مسيحيين.
بونا يعني أنا بلاحظ إن في اعتقاد خاطئ إن التربية أحيانا بتكون مسؤولية الأم أكتر. يا ترى في بعض الأسر كده، ده الواقع، احنا عايزين النهارده نحط ايدينا على الواقع. يعني احيانا مش هقول كل، بعض منهم بمعتقد قديم ان الام عليها التربيه، زي ما الام بتجيب لهم هدومهم، زي ما هي بتطبخ، زي ما بتشوف شؤون البيت، لا الام كمان اللي بتربي. والاب ممكن يكون له مسؤوليات تانية، ممكن يكون له مسؤوليات خارج البيت او بياخد باله من السياسه العامه للبيت عموما. لكن التربيه بمعنى ان انا اقعد مع ابني واتناقش معاه واتكلم واعلمه اساسيات العلاقه مع ربنا، او ان انا اعلمه صح من الغلط، دي الام يمكن. ليه صح ولا غلط الكلام ده؟
هو دلوقتي حاليا مفيش فرق بين الام والاب بصراحه. يعني الاثنين بيشتغلوا والاثنين بيعملوا نفس الحاجه. هو بصراحه الموضوع كله ايه، الاثنين بقوا واحد بالزيجه زي ما انت قلتي في الاول، الاثنين اصبحوا واحد، وطالما هم واحد يشتغلوا مع بعض كواحد مش كاتنين. فهو ده الهدف، ان هم يشوفوا ايه احسن مصلحه للاولاد ويستخدموا القوات اللي عندهم في تحقيق هذا الامر.
أبونا ديفيد، يمكن Father Michael speak about how can both parents share raising kids, but sometimes we find that mom may be brought up in different way and dad is being brought up in different environments, and each one of them has got different idea of raising kids. How can both of them agree on one system and one role to raise kids, to raise children?
It's a very good question. We know in the church, and the Lord teaches us always about unity. Very soon we'll be talking about the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, working in unity. The church is united. And the home, or the family, is a small church. And so really, Abunia taught us earlier about, when he's talking about the family, he said there's this concept or phenomena, he's a university kind of professor, called resonance. Resonance is when two people are doing the same thing in unison, they have a much more powerful result than if one is doing one thing and someone is doing the other thing. So obviously it would be great if mum and dad are both brought up in similar ideals, similar culture, and that's why pre-marriage, when we give that advice, it's something that we talk about. But it's not always the case, of course. And so in the situation where mum and dad are thinking a bit differently, it also depends on what it is that they're discussing. And there's certain foundations that are non-negotiables. Yani masalan, like loving God, being Christian, reading the Bible, as Abuna was saying earlier. These things are taban, things that are fundamentals, but are foundational. But when you have things like, which school we send our child, or whether we do this or do that, what type of friends, etc., these are things that they can be a bit different. And so the idea is it's better from the perspective of the children to see mum and dad together, united. That is far more powerful of a result than to see mum and dad clashing. There is nothing worse in a family for children to see mum and dad arguing, fighting, and doing all these things in front of their children. This is the most destructive thing we can do. It doesn't mean that mum and dad never have a conflict. No, of course they may have conflict. This is normal in any relationship. But time and place, not in front of the children. So it's far better if, say, regarding schooling, for example, if one parent wants one type of school, another parent wants a different one, even if I'm 100% in my mind thinking I'm correct, but my wife is thinking 90% correct, it's better for me to agree with her at 90% than for me to fight her in front of the kids and have this problem. And eventually God blesses, and this is a beautiful form of compromise. And the Lord blesses this level of communication and compromise between the families. And I think from the kids' point of view, it's very lovely to hear, masalan, like you hear in families where, you know, like even little things, like at school there's a permission slip that needs to be signed. Mum enforces dad's authority and says, you know, mum can sign easily, but there are times where mum will say, no, we have to wait until dad signs this paper. Like it's almost like giving authority and lifting dad in front of the kids. Dad does the same. You know, if it's about, oh, you know, dad, what are we going to wear? What are we going to eat? Where are we going to go? Let's ask mum's opinion and see it as well. So we're involving, and the kids get to a point where, you know, they know that they can't go to one mum or one parent, and then they say yes or no, and then the other parent is going to say the opposite, masalan. They know that mum and dad, regardless, are going to be united. This is very, very helpful for the child's upbringing, very healthy, and when mum and dad are close to the church, and they're having the same opinion about the church, the kids then will respect that opinion and will actually be a lot closer to God as well.
So in your opinion, Abuna, how can we achieve this? So I know this is a very, very ideal to have a healthy environment to raise kids in a one opinion parents. But do you advise, for example, that the parents, both of them, dad and mom, just sit together and have a discussion for different topics and agree with one system beforehand? Or sometimes in a spot, like for example, I want to go in a shopping center, for example, and the kids would like to buy this, and mom agree and dad disagree, and situation like we don't have time to discuss this. But what do you recommend for that?
I think again it depends on the situation and what it is we're negotiating.
Yeah.
Yani, if it's about a little toy here or there or something like that, then yani, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not you know, the end of the world. But big things, I think it's definitely important that mum and dad talk to each other. Definitely important for mum and dad to be on the same page with big things, yani. And especially there's nothing worse than, say, if dad says you're not doing a sleepover, or mum says you're not going to have, you know, this dessert or whatever, and then the other parent undermines what the first parent said. This is very destructive, because the child thinks, first of all, they get what they want, and in a sneaky kind of way, and it teaches them to be sneaky. And it shows them that mum and dad are not on the same page. This is very destructive. So I think it's important that mum and dad are on the same page, especially with the big things. You know, if dad said, Nasan, no sport, you know, or you know, you're going to get punished about this because of whatever, or I'm taking away this gift, then mum has to follow, even if she doesn't agree. But then if she has a problem with it, or he has a problem with it, they talk to each other separately, independently, away from the children, so they come with a united front.
So sometimes our kids is very smart, and sometimes they say, my mom always say no, or the opposite. My dad say no, and my mom have to go to mom in this question. I have to go to dad when I want this one. So it's very hard to have wisdom to raise kids in this way. So what advice mom and dad in this such situation, when dad is very kind, yes, okay, mom is always no, I'm the firm one now.
Look, I would really love to hear what Abuna
yes,
Abuna Michael has to say. He's one of the most successful parents I've known. So.
And I'm gonna ask him the same question. بس some parents مشهورين كده، دي ماما اللي بتقول لا وبابا، او العكس يعني، بابا دايما يقول لا فانا go back to mom.
It's very simple really. Very simple really. St. James told us that if you need wisdom, ask for it. So the parents need to ask. مفروض الأهالي تطلب الحكمة من ربنا، ازاي نربي ولادنا، ازاي نهتم بيهم، ازاي اعمل علاقة كويسة مع جوزي او جوزي يعمل علاقة كويسة معايا. دي كلها حكمة ربنا بيديها للي طالبها. فدي اول حاجة اللي لازم الواحد يعملها، ان هو يطلب من ربنا الحكمة. تاني حاجة الإنسان مفروض يكون adaptable، يعني مش كل حاجة أنا قلت. طبعا أكتر حاجة غلط يعني أنا قلت، يعني وأنت يعني على مستوى ربنا أنا قلت، ده حتى ربنا بعض الأحيان بيغير رأيه لمصلحتنا. فالعنصر ده مفروض يتشال. أنا مفيش حاجة اسمها أنا قلت وأنا بتاع، لأن الإنسان بيحط في نفسه في مواقف صعبة، وبعد لما يقول الكلام ده حتى عايز يتراجع ما يقدرش يتراجع فيه. فحلو الإنسان يكون وديع ويكون هادي في تفكيره ويطلب الحكمة، والحكمة تجيله من ربنا.
صح. لو الإنسان حتى مش عارف يعمل إيه في موقف من المواقف الصعبة اللي كل يوم بيتعرض لأولادنا، فمهم قوي إن أحطها في موضوع صلاة، أصلي من أجل الموضوع ده، وربنا هيبعت الحل. Amira, you are English teacher and mom at the same time and a servant at church as well. Sometimes we in this era or feel that some kids it's being spoiled or live in a luxury way. Some parents think that's the good raising kids, that I'm gonna give them everything, I'm gonna provide everything for them. That's proof that I'm raising my kids in a right way, or I'll make them feel in a better situation more than me that I used to be. What do you think? How can we keep it in control, the spoiling?
Well, firstly, a huge disclaimer, I'm not on this panel because I'm a great parent. My children will tell you I have flaws and foibles like everybody else, but I imagine that you might as well, unlike the Blessed Fathers who have a different perspective. Okay, so all parents, no matter what the outcome is, all parents love their children and want to do the best. We make mistakes not because we are fundamentally adverse to the children. We want our children to be the best, and many of you have actually, I'm second generation Egyptian, many of you have actually left very prosperous lifestyles in Egypt and have made huge sacrifices for your children. But then again, we can over sort of rationalise the situation. With regards to spoiling, in my position, I see children reacting to material things all the time, and I'm in a position where I need to motivate students in an academic situation to achieve their best, and these expectations often, if not always, clash. At the school level, children who come to school with different iPhones and different watches and things like that, there is even an unspoken competition that is absolutely brutal. And so one of the reasons with the philosophies behind wearing a uniform to school is to kind of have some sort of equity. But even so, these things, even in conversation, people who are able to holiday in some places, and as parents, we do want to give our children the best. I don't think that's an issue. However, we also need to have, as you said before, I understand Arabic better than I speak it, we need to have a bit of wisdom.
Yeah.
And so spoiling is extremely different to giving treats, to rewarding certain things. And rewarding should not just be because I received good grades. And what we need to do is look at the reasons why we tend to do this. If you find, and I'm not making any sort of judgments, but just from observation, if you find that this behaviour is from a feeling of wanting to compensate for something, for example, working too hard, not being able to be available too often for children, or situations like this, if you are compensating, and so giving material things is replacing love and time, this is really quite a negative thing, and it is a learned behaviour. So we actually pass on this problem. So when you reward as evenly as possible, as fairly as possible. You might have several children, and you all, obviously we all love our children equally. They're different parts of our hearts, but the way you do this needs to be clearly understood. It is not a contractual thing. It's not do this and you will have a car, do this and you will have my favour, do this and you will make mummy happy. If you get 100% in your exam, mummy will be so proud. That's, to children who are immature, means that if I get 100%, mummy will love me. And your favour cannot be on this transactional basis. It needs to mimic the way God meant for us to deal with our children. And so please try and empathise. Don't treat them as you were treated, because you came from a different environment. And our parameters here are radically different. And so although it might seem even to you to do exactly to them as you have been treated, you've come from a beautiful family and this is the way your father and mother brought you up, which is absolutely fine. It's a different environment. You haven't changed, but the environment they live in, the world they equate as being the real world, when they leave home, you need to understand this a little bit and react to it. So there's a lot of learning that you need to do in order to understand what is appropriate. Don't go overboard. Don't be stingy. Do things out of love, as God treats us, with grace, even when we don't deserve it.
Got a question through on a slider. It says, I would love if you can comment on the question, all of you, if you can. If parents do differ in opinion regarding school amount of homework, extra, does the church enforce that the wife has to follow the husband regardless? Abuna and Abuna David. It's a very good question. Thank you very much. I encourage everyone to write as well question on Slido, because really we're here to answer all these questions.
Well, look, I think like a family, what we want as parents, like من أولادنا إن هم يحبوا ربنا ويحبونا, right? If you look at like in the history, في تاريخ like الدنيا, if any parent has allowed their children, as Abuna was saying earlier, to love the church, these kids will always be loyal to their parents when they grow older. It's impossible. And you can't find a family where they help the children or encourage the children to love the church, and then these children later on in life ignore their parents. It never happens. In order to show them this model and have them love the church and have them love God, mum and dad need to love one another and practice what they preach or what they want their children to do. I think they need to have, they were saying earlier, like these conversations behind closed doors. And from personal experience, when I grew up, I can't remember any time where mum and dad were fighting. And I hear this from a lot of, like I speak to Abuna Mark and Abuna Dan and Abuna Paul, they all say the same thing. And Abuna Elijah, like all of them were saying, I can't remember a time when mum and dad ever fought. Does that mean that our parents never fought? La taban. Of course, they must have had disagreements, they must have had misunderstandings. However, it was never done in front of their children. And so if there is like one parent thinks one thing, another parent thinks another, we need to think, what are we trying to achieve? We have a common goal. Our goal is to love God, go to heaven, and bring our children to love God and go to heaven. If I'm sitting here and one person is always saying, this is the way and there's no other, and his wife is always submissive in this way, this is not like, it depends again on the situation, what it is, but there needs to be love. As we say from the very beginning, the church gives the rules and commandments from the beginning. She says to the husband, you have to love your wife in the same way the Lord loves the church. He died for his church out of love. To the wife, you need to love your husband the same way the church loves God. We follow God, He's our light, He's our path wherever we go. So there needs to be this compromise and this love. When there's selfless love, it doesn't matter who am I listening to, who am I not listening to. We both love our children and love one another and love God. So it shouldn't be an argument of who always gets the way. It's not the way, it's God's way. Yani we're not following, like when a husband says, we need to discipline our children in a Christian way, he hasn't made this up. This is a command from God. He says if you don't discipline your children and teach them the way, then you're going to be accountable. When a wife says that, these children are, they're stealing or something or doing something wrong and we have to teach them, she's not making this up. This is God's principle in how to fulfill this church. So really, it's not we're listening to the husband or listening to the wife. We're listening to God as a church, as a family, as a mini church to get close. It's exactly how when someone in confession comes and talks about how they swear or lie or watch bad things, when Abuna says this is not right, it's not Abuna who's making this up. This is God's commandment. When we want to know what's right and wrong, we look at the Bible. Exactly. But I think as a family, we look at the Bible, and that's what Abuna was saying earlier. When we read the Bible as a family, when we pray as a family, we are all understanding God's love and God's rules and God's commandments for us to thrive. So
أبونا مايكل أنا إجابة السؤال ده أنا حابة أقولها in Arabic in a different way. So يعني الزوجة هنا محكومة إن هي طبعا بتقول أنا لازم أطيع زوجي، لأن هو المفروض هو قال كلمة، وده الكنيسة بتشجعنا كده إن الزوجة to have to submit to her husband. في situation زي دي، في مواقف حياة بنعيشها كل يوم زي كده. رأي قدسك
هو أهم حاجة إن ما يكونش فيه نوع من السيلفشنس، يبقى الإنسان أناني عايز كل حاجة تمشي على مزاجه. هي دي مش حياة زوجية. علشان يحصل إن هو لازم يحصل حب. يعني هي لو بتحب جوزها فعلا هتقول له لا ده حب، لا ده مش كويس إن احنا نعمل بالطريقة دي. ليه؟ لأنها بتحبه وبتحب ولاده، بتحب ولادها. فأحيان كتيرة جدا لما هو يلاقيها بتحبه وبتحب مصلحة البيت وحاجات زي كده، هو هيبص لها برضه وهيسمع لها. وفي نفس الوقت الراجل لازم يكون عنده هذا الحب لمراته، بحيث ان هي مش يعني مش part of the furniture. بالعكس، ده يعني زي ما بولس قال الرجل ليس له سلطان على جسده بل المرأة، بل امرأته، بل الزوجة، والعكس صحيح. فيعني بمعنى صح لو ست قالت لجوزها ما تشربش شاي، المفروض يقول لها حاضر. ما تشربش اي حاجة يقول لها حاضر. فليه؟ لأن هو مفروض يعمل كل ما في وسعه ان هو ان هي تبقى مبسوطة.
والزوجة الحكيمة كمان يا بونا عشان تقدر ان هي توصل فكرتها ووجهة نظرها لزوجها، لازم توصلها بأسلوب مختلف، بأسلوب هادي ووديع، بحيث ان هي تقدر ان هي تقنعه بشكل هادي مش بأساليب مختلفة. دايما اقول ان الاسلوب هو اللي بيفرق. لما اطلب طلب من حد، لو طلبته بشكل كويس وهادي وبطريقة طالعة من القلب، غير لما اطلب طلب بطريقة ان انا عايزة افرض رأيي او ان انا اقول ده اللي هيحصل. يعني
هقول لكم حاجة غريبة جدا، حاجة غريبة جدا. ابونا تادوس مالتي كان بيحكيها لنا، بيقول في واحد كبير في السن راح له وبعدين بيقول له يا ابونا اديني كلمة منفعة. فابونا قال له ما تنامش الا لو انت بتصالح مع مراتك. فبص له كده واستغرب، قال له يا ابونا انا بقالي 50 سنة متجوز، ما فيش مرة زعلنا من بعض. فياريت تكون دي حاجة لينا احنا كمان نتعلمها
كل يوم. مظبوط. Abuna David, communication is very important in the whole family anyway, in general, but sometimes I'm focused on teenager exactly because this very hard time, very hard age, they find it very hard to express themselves sometimes. So what's important? How is the communication and discussion in the family? It's very important.
I think communication is very important, as you say, and I need to have a relationship with my child, whether it's my daughter, my son, and this should be a real relationship. Yani, their concerns should become my concerns. If I don't, I find what their interests are. When they're children, in primary school and younger, it's very easy, to. Like they talk about food and toys and kida. It's very easy to have that relationship with them, and it's important to spend time with them about these things, because when they develop and get older, then they develop that rapport, that relationship, like that love. it's genuine. It's not just about marks and exams and everything. And the other thing as well is it's important not just to have, like, going back to this idea of resonance. Resonance is good between husband and wife, but also making sure that maybe Sunday school servant or church or abuna, so making sure that there's relationships with more than one people around my child that are all pointing towards God. So maybe if I've lost that touch, you know, my son doesn't want to look at his dad because he's now 15 and he's very cool, and it's not cool to talk to dad, kida, but it might be very cool to speak to abuna, his confession father, or his Sunday school servant, someone he can look up to, another male figure, or in my daughter's case, a female figure, possibly who she may be able to relate to a lot more. So having these communications and starting ideally from a young age is perfect. If they're already old, then it's a matter of, again, being there for them, loving them, talking to them, and being open. One of the biggest problems that we come across is, you know, like people that say, like one girl once was speaking to me who's a teenager, and she said to me, Abuna, I would love to talk to my dad, but I don't have a relationship with him.
Very hard to hear that.
It's very hard, very hard. And
on the mom, maybe the opposite. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on, either parent, yani. But this is devastating. Yani, sometimes parents understandably are very preoccupied with work and jobs and everything, to pay for their kids and to pay for their, and everyone has a good intention. Yani, there's no parent that wakes up and says, I'm going to be a bad dad today or a bad mom today.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like the intention or niyatna is very good. But the problem is we need to give time. Kids want our time.
Yeah.
So we offer ourselves. If they choose to accept, great. If not, then I'm still always there talking to them and communicating them and having the help of abuna. I love very much when a parent calls up a confession father and says, by the way, my son is going to talk to you, yani, have a think, yani, maybe bring something like this up, or you know, my daughter is going to talk to you, maybe bring something like this up. Obviously abuna will never disclose anything, but it's good to have a feel, because maybe the child will not bring this up, for example. So it's a good relationship to have with the family, the parents, abuna, the servants, the children, in a way that we're kind of hugging them kida and protecting them in the love of Christ.
In the way of communication, I think it's a talent, because some parents, mom or dad, when they communicate or speak to their kids, sometimes they want to make it short, because the kids in this age, they would like to speak more and talk and explain what's happened today at school. My friend does this, my friend does this, the teacher say that, and the parent doesn't have any time for it, doesn't have any patience after a long day working. So, Amira, I want to ask you, as your mom and you have a daughter, the way the mom can have her daughter attach it to her and keep her talking to her. There is a relationship, a secret between mom and daughter.
Daughter, if you're listening. Okay. We're called on to be humble. We're called on from the church to be humble beings and to interact with anyone and everybody around us in this way, but more so with our children. We forget that our children learn humility from our modelling, and so we need to respect them, and this needs to be at, through your wisdom, which you ask for through prayer. This needs to be sort of increased incrementally with their age and with their maturity, but you show them respect by listening to them as much as possible, taking sort of interest in what they're doing, thanking them when they've done something, apologising to them when you need to apologise. Oftentimes, if we have our heads in a million things and it's just something ticks and you've done something that you would never dream to do, you need to apologise for that in the same way that you expect them to apologise. So I'm saying that let's treat them like the individuals we want them to be when they grow up, and the individuals God intends them to be. We are custodians for a very short time, as Abuna Michael said, and we need to honour that and be faithful to it. So don't expect a child to divulge anything to you, personal otherwise, if they feel that you're not going to be receptive. And something happens to teenagers as they're growing, sort of a phenomena that sort of starts from about, and the minute I put an age on it, people are going to think, oh, but from about sort of early teens, typically about the age of 12, where they start to value their peer groups a little bit more, and you might think that they don't notice or they don't care, but they do. And so it's the onus is on you to persevere and to supply something where they're not giving you anything, to continually ask, how was your day? Even though the answer might be, okay, and that's it. But yes.
Yeah. Buna David, these days, usually the kids on the phone all the time, on the computer all the time these days, and they have the excuse, of course. But how do you recommend or advise, how can we keep the use of the technology in a control? This is a very common question. Many parents ask about it.
I think the biggest hit that the devil has put on our generation is technology, is the internet, is phones. You can see people very, very young having access to phones, having access to screens. The concept in teaching and psychology about screen times is it's a big hit. And the problem is, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It can be used for good, but it can also be used for very, very dangerous things. In fact, one time I heard one of the fathers was saying that, like, don't think that any child is immune to the temptation or the tribulation of like struggling with pornography, for example. Not one child. Like, every single person is exposed to this and is very, very much affected by it. So I think it's very good to have some good boundaries from an early age, ideally, as early as possible. So for example, if my children are still in primary school or still young, one concept that Abu Ya'ub taught us was that we have privileges. So discipline is to have privileges that are removed, as opposed to punishment and going into a negative territory. So the privilege is, there is, for example, a phone or an iPad, for example. This is not the child's phone or the child's iPad, but actually mum's phone or dad's phone or the house's iPad. And so that way it's not a right, it's not theirs. And because if something is theirs and I take it away, this is very damaging and destructive, because I'm taking something that's their right, for example. But if this is the home's iPad, masalan, and they do something that is unpleasant, they're rude or misbehave to mum or dad, then the privilege of the home iPad is no longer available. And this is a very good way of encouraging the child to then discipline them in a way without them feeling like they're in the negative. I'm taking something good away. The other thing is to have some basic rules, like, there's no real need, my personal opinion, for a child in primary school, say especially a young child, to have a mobile phone. Why? They're with mum and dad everywhere anyway. If they're going from one house to another or to school, they're not driving themselves. They're always going to be with an adult.
Exactly.
So, and hatta if they're going to be with a different adult, it's going to be a family member or a play date where I as a parent can call the parent who they're having this play date with. So really I see no reason for a child that age to have a mobile phone, possibly in high school and beyond for safety and otherwise. But even then, the type of phone that I give them I dictate. It doesn't have to be smartphones. They still have Nokia phones now that only have Snake, masalan, it doesn't have all these dangerous apps and cyberbullying and all this sort of stuff. Another possible practical tip is, if they do have a screen, this screen is, for example, not allowed in a bedroom. If there is a phone, it is not to be charged in the bedroom. It's to be charged outside. What do we have to hide? So if anyone's on a screen, if anyone has a phone, it gets charged in the family charge, masalan, unit, which is in the living area. If someone has a laptop, not to go in the bedroom, for example, it's to be used outside. If you're doing homework or you're doing whatever, have a desk with the screen facing the living area, so that anyone who's walking past can very easily see and view and everything. Our children are very clever. They can very easily swap screens, they can very easily change things, have screensavers, and we would be oblivious. So they can even have files of, not very inappropriate kind of images and videos and whatnot that are hidden, and with passwords and all sorts of things. There's a very good tip as well, which I got from some of our IT kind of resources that we have in the church. There's a physical device that you can actually plug to the home router. and this can actually connect to mum and dad's phone. And then it actually can control all the websites, any areas that they go, any emails that are received. Mum and dad first have to approve. It doesn't matter where they are in the world. They can be overseas, they can be away, they can be not home. But if the child is using the home modem and Wi-Fi, there needs to be permission to mum and dad first that they approve, so you can monitor. It can actually banish or get rid of any kind of pornographic sites or videos or things like this. So and this is per device. So for example, one is called Circle. This you can get this from JB Hi-Fi or any technological place. It's made by Disney actually, and there's many other types. Yeah, this is just one of many examples. And some softwares. If you need any resources, speak to any of the fathers or the church IT resources. There's plenty of things out there that are available that we can easily install in our homes to help our children with this problem.
It's a very good idea, because we need to just allow them to be like a similar kind of for all the kids, and on the same time make control. This is the balance we have to do every day. We have to be, I encourage all of you. اتفضلي أميرة. Do you want to say anything?
Yes, I would like to.
Yeah.
On this topic, guys, I'd like to really recommend a book. It's called The Tech-Wise Family by Andy Grouch, and this is from a Christian perspective. It's very well researched, and it will not give you tips on how to install filters, and it will not give you tips on common sense things that you've been listening to. The phenomenon that we are struggling with now has really only been in our lives for about 20 years, but has been in our children's lives since birth. And so really it's all about teaching your children practices that you do normally, how to be a good Christian. Again, apologies to my children, but I used to teach them when they were very, very young, be careful, little eyes, what you see. For the Lord above looks down with love. Be careful not to offend him. And what you see and what you hear, that simple things stay with you. And so if they're able to think about what they're doing at the time, and I know that they're young, but they can do this if you give them the responsibility, and when they fall down, to talk them through it. They need to be thinking about every decision they make, because as they grow, the decisions get bigger. And you do not want them in a situation where they're not able to think through a situation. If you keep taking things from them, prohibiting them, well, what happens when you sort of miss something? And then they don't know how to control themselves. So I do advise you to read that book if you're interested.
So, what's the book again? Name?
It's called The Tech-Wise Family. So it's family orientated. Little things like no phones at the dinner table. And that's just something you all agree on. 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon, that's family time. Keeping people busy by making yourself available to go for a walk. Offering alternate pleasurable experiences where you interact with them. They will choose you every time over an image or whatever. Don't let that sort of experience fill their lives. You fill their lives. You know about God. Fill the vessels in a positive way.
Okay. Thank you أميرة. أبونا يمكن الدراسات الكتيرة الحديثة دايما قالوا إن الطفل أو الولد أو البنت هيتعلم لما يشوف قدامه مثل أو حد بيعمل حاجة كويسة أو قدوة معينة حلوة. يعني التعليم بالقدوة. لو أنا دلوقتي أب أو أم في البيت ومطالب إن أنا أقدم شكل كويس نموذجي مثالي لولادي، بس أنا في الحقيقة في حاجات معينة أنا برضو ضعيف فيها، في حاجات أنا برضو مش قادرة أوصل لها، مش قادرة أتعلمها. إزاي أخلي ولادي أبقى قدوة في نفس الوقت اللي أنا في حاجات لسه struggling in some areas to be.
ده سؤال جميل جدا جدا. أول حاجة لازم ناخد بالنا منها إن إحنا مثلا لو الأب جاله مكالمة تليفون وولد من الأولاد رد عليه، فالأب من بعيد يقول له أنا مش موجود أنا مش موجود، قول له أنا مش موجود. فطبعا الولد هيتعلم إيه غير الكذب. ومثلا فدي حاجات النيجاتيف، يعني طبعا ما نقدرش نقول للأولاد ما تكذبوش وإحنا نكون كذابين. الحاجة الثانية البوزيتيف، ممكن الإنسان مثلا يكون في الشوبينج سنتر وبعض الأحيان بيعملوا غلطة، مثلا يديك إيه، تديله مثلا $20 يرجع لك 50، كأنك دفعتي له $50 بدل $20. فممكن الأب الام يرجعوا الفلوس ويقولوا لاولادهم ليه عملنا كده؟ احنا بنحب ربنا واحنا بنخاف ربنا، وبعدين الفلوس دي هنظلم الناس التانيين بيها، ما دي فلوسهم هناخدها منهم. فالاطفال يتعلموا البوزيتيف اتيتيود، وفي نفس الوقت ما نكذبش، وبعدين نقول للاولاد ما تكذبوش. يعني مثلا اكتر حاجه مثل موجود كتير من الناس تشتكي تقول ان اولادي لما كبروا مش عايزين يجوا الكنيسه، ويكون السبب الاهل ذات نفسهم. ازاي؟ طول النهار يشتكوا على الكنيسه وفاكرين العيال دي ما تفهمش حاجه، فاكرين ان هم صغيرين مش واخدين بالهم. فلما الولد يكبر يقول لك الله، اذا كان ابويا اللي هو المفروض يبقى المثل بتاعي شايف ان الكنيسه دي كلها غلطات، فانا احب فيها ايه؟ اروح ليه الكنيسه اعمل ايه؟ فاحنا كتير جدا في اجتماعاتنا نقعد نتكلم عن الكنيسه ونتكلم عن الخدام ونتكلم عن الكهنه والخدمه والحاجات دي كلها in a negative way. فبعدين ايه؟ الولاد يتعلموا الحاجات دي ويسمعوها، لان الاولاد ما ورهمش حاجه غير اهلهم. الاب والام عندهم حاجات كتيره بيفكروا فيها، الاولاد ما عندهمش حاجه تانية غير الاب والام يفكروا فيهم. فكل حركه وكل صغيره وكبيره بيعرفوها عن طريق اهلهم. فهم لما يشوفوا ان اهلهم بيكرهوا الكنيسه او بيتكلموا عن الكنيسه، هم لما يكبروا يقول لك لا طبعا الكنيسه دي مش حلوه، دي مكان كله مشاكل، فتباعدوا. وبعد كده ايه؟ يشتكوا الاهالي ده اولادنا مش عايزين يجوا الكنيسه. فلازم ناخد بالنا فكون ايه؟ قدوه كويسه للاولاد، ان نبينهم حبنا لربنا، حبنا لخوف ربنا، وحبنا للكنيسه، وحبنا لكل حاجه تتعلق بالكنيسه. هم كمان هيحبوا الكنيسه ويحبوا ربنا، وتبقى ايه؟ تربيتهم سهله.
يعني احنا يمكن في يوم من الايام قدام ربنا هنحاسب على كل تقصير او نقول ان احنا وصلنا لاولادنا رساله بطريق حتى لو غير مباشر، ان احنا علمناهم حاجه مش مظبوطه او ان احنا قصرنا في تربيتهم، هنحاسب بيها قدام ربنا. ده يخلينا ان احنا نقف فعلا وقفه مع نفسنا ونحس فعلا بخطوره تربيه الولاد، ان هم بيشربوا مننا حتى لو احنا مش دايركتلي مباشره كده علمناهم وقلنا لهم اعملوا ده الصح او الغلط، هم هيشوفوا احنا عايشين ازاي وبنتعامل ازاي مع الناس، وهيتعاملوا بالظبط بنفس الطريقه.
هو بصراحه الموضوع كله زي ما ميرا كانت بتقول، ان احنا الاهالي عندهم مشاكل وعندهم ضعفات. ربنا بيصلح الاخطاء بتاعتنا.
بيعوض.
لو احنا رحنا مع ربنا بنحب ربنا فعلا، كل حاجه احنا بنعملها غلط ربنا بيصلحها. فعشان كده مهم جدا ان احنا ناخد بالنا ان احنا ما بقاش عندنا جيلت فيلينج، ده انا من 20 سنه عملت كذا، او من 15 سنه عملت كذا، او يا ريتني كنت ربيت العيال بطريقه. لا، ربنا هو اللي بيصلح كل غلطاتنا طالما احنا ايه؟ جينيون، طالما احنا فعلا بنحب ربنا، فربنا هو دايما اللي بيصلح غلطاتنا.
هل غلط يا ابونا او صح لو تصلح لي؟ لو انا مثلا حاسه ان انا فيا تقصير او ضعف معين او حاجه بستراجل او بجاهد فيها، فهل في مانع ان انا اتكلم مع اولادي بصراحه واقول لهم انا فعلا بجاهد على الموضوع ده، ان انا مثلا بطل مثلا اتكلم كتير، او ان انا ادين حد، او ان انا اضيع وقت كتير، صلوا لي ان انا احاول ان انا احسن نفسي، وانا بدعيكم ان انتوا كمان بشجعكم ان انتوا ما تتعلموش العاده دي، حاولوا. يعني هل الطريقه دي غلط؟ ما فيهاش حكمه يا ابونا؟
ده كلها حكمه بصراحه. هقول لك على حاجه كتير من اولادنا بيجوا من المدرسه او من الجامعه او بتاع، نقول لهم ايه؟ How was your day? Who did you see today? Some friends, the usual.
Yeah.
They don't open themselves to us at all. Mainly because every time they open themselves to us, we criticize them or we punish them, and that's the worst thing. The best thing is, instead of them opening their hearts to us, we start. We open our hearts to them. You know, today at work I've done this and that, I've met this person, and in church I've done that, I've done this. And we open our hearts to them, regardless whether they open hearts to us immediately or not. It might take a long time, but if we open our hearts and tell them actually our mistakes, depends on what age.
Yep.
We tell them about our mistakes. Why not? How else are they going to learn? We tell them, look, we've done this mistake, and hopefully we ask the Lord to fix it up in us, and so forth. We have to open ourselves to them, become friends to them, so they can. Most cases, they come and say, how are you doing? Oh, fine, fine. And then they run to their home, to their room, and then they start chatting for hours with their friends. Okay? And they give us half a second.
Yeah, because it's our way. It's our way to communicate with kids.
Exactly. But if we talk and open ourselves to them, tell them about our own experience, okay, our own situations, how we're doing. A lot of young people don't even realize what their parents do. Oh, my dad works in the city, and that's it. So it's important to open up to them, so they open themselves to us as well.
Okay. I've got another question. We went back to the computer and technology again. I have to read it as well. How can we avoid having the laptop in their rooms during this time with online learning? It's another question.
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, I think it depends on age. So if they're still in primary school and young, I think it's very easy. We set up, even if it's just a table in another place of our house, which is public, living area, lounge area. And taban, as parents, it's our responsibility. And I can't expect my son to be in the living area and studying, and I've got the TV on full blast, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to work. And taban, it will be distraction for my child. They'll want to play, they'll want to, and equally, it's hard because I need to juggle. If I have more than one child, and one of them wants to watch TV, and the other doesn't. So I think it's important that we have a general rule, because what's the alternative? The alternative is if they start to allow, you can't be complacent with these sorts of rules. If you say you can have the laptop only a little bit, in the room, and then outside, like for everything else, then taban, it's always going to be in their room, and they're always studying. Yeah, so I think it's important, depending on the age. So if they're young, then I think, or possibly if they have to be in the room, keep the door open, and maybe mum or dad are with them, or older sibling is with them, or something, such that never with the door shut, never where. But the problem is then if they hear footsteps, they can easily change things. For as much as we can, we make the availability for it to be in a public area, depending on the size of the room and the structure, and have the guidance of the confession father as well to help.
Okay. أميرة, يمكن عشان وقت البرنامج I've got a very important questions in terms of raising kids. We sometimes try to punish them or discipline them. What's our ideal strategies of punishment for our children, and does the punishment stop in certain age?
Okay, I think that never ever do anything when you're angry. And I think that I'd rather discipline but not punish, and there is a world of difference between them. Disciplining involves teaching, involves because you have their interest in heart. It's not from my point of view, you've embarrassed me in front of so-and-so. If a child feels that you are treating them unfairly or with anger, the next time they make a mistake, they know quite well to do it outside of your view. Once you show them your anger, okay, and again, if you don't deal with it as soon as possible by apologizing, it's a very big slippery slide. So please, if you are angry, try, and this is very difficult sometimes, try not to do anything. Try and say, we'll talk later. And then, if possible, you need to sort of reason rather than even discipline. To try and reason. God did not punish us. He treats us with love that is unconditional. So even when they disappoint you, whatever the situation, it cannot be that you make them feel that your love is going to be withdrawn. So this needs a lot of wisdom, and and it's difficult. and it applies to, you have to rethink it with every single situation, and every single child is different.
Yeah. Like Amira said, that sometimes we do mistakes when we even try to discipline our kids. What's a common mistakes the parents might do when they are bringing the kids? Just a very few mistakes.
For the sake of the program, I just want the answer for one question on top of that.
Yeah.
For the sake of everyone listening, Abuna Michael, you have two sons, Abuna,
Yes.
your children.
Oh.
There is Abuna, became Abuna Daniel.
I thought there's no time.
And Abuna,
No, there is a
we make
big
time.
time.
I came
We
here today
have
to hear the
time.
answer to this question, Abuna. For the sake of everyone listening, please, Abuna, give us your wisdom with this answer. And also, what's the secret?
Exactly. Thank you, Abuna David. Thank you for this
The
question. Very
secret is
important
very
question.
simple. It's God. He is the secret here. We have nothing to do with it whatsoever. It's a grace of God. What we've done is we tried to get him to love reading when they were young, and luckily that they loved reading, and through the reading, they start knowing and loving God on their own. And through the church fathers here, also as leading them, and some of the servants, those servants were a model for them. And that's how they loved the church, and they start coming to church on their own. As with the parents, well, we did very little. I must admit, we did very little in getting close to God. It's just what it is. It's a grace of God that they became what they are.
It's very good question. So, sorry, it's very good answer as well. So, how you make them very close to God and choose to be dedicated the rest of their life?
I'll just
for
speak
God's
generally
service?
now. First of all, bringing up the children is supposed to be for the purpose of God and for the service of God. That's number one. A good example is Jacob in the Old Testament. When he left Palestine, he was a number of 70, went into Egypt. After 400 years, what happened? There were 2 million. Okay? Now, our families, within 300, 400 years, it might be in those numbers. So if we look after our children, because of their own children as well, because of their grandchildren, for all of them to become saints. Can you imagine after 400 years or 500 years, you will go to God and you say, here I am, Lord, with the children that you've given me. 400, 500, 1 million, 2 million, whatever the number is. Can you imagine the joy of heaven? So it's not we're only doing it for our own kids, for our own children, but for generations to come. So it's important to remember that we're not only doing for our own children, but for their children and their children, and through the generations. And I think that's a good way of thinking why we should bring our kids to the purpose of God and for the service of God.
Thank you, Abuna, very much. Thank you for all the work, Amira.
Thank you, Maggie.
That was thank you.
A lovely listen for all of us.
Thank you. زي ما شفنا النهارده ان فعلا اسرار التربيه الناجحه عرفناها النهارده. Like Abuna Michael said, that we have to set our priority for raising our kids. We have to teach them how to be close to God and to be raised in God's fear. الحقيقة محتاجين قوي يكون في حلقات تانية كتير نتكلم فيها عن مواضيع تانية كتير متخصصة لأولادنا. محتاجين قوي نتكلم عن أطفال معينين محتاجين نوع معين من الاهتمام، يعني أطفال مثلا الطفل العنيد، مثلا الطفل المشاغب، الطفل الصعب شوية. محتاجين كمان نتكلم عن الإديوكيشن لأولادنا، لتعليمهم أكتر. محتاجين كمان نتكلم عن الطفل البركة. ممكن يكون في وسطينا طفل وربنا مدينا عطية حلوة قوي، طفل جميل وبركة للبيت كله، بس احنا مش واخدين بالنا ازاي نتعامل معاه وازاي نحافظ عليه وازاي ننميه عشان يثمر 30 و60 و100. في مقولة مهمة قوي دايما بنسمعها، دايما بنسمع المقولة دي، ان اولادنا هيطلعوا زي ما احنا عايشين مش زي ما احنا عايزين. بس الصح ان اولادنا يطلعوا زي ما المسيح عايش. اشوفكم الحلقة الجاية من ذا لاونج.